Welcome to another episode of the Coffee Roaster Warm Sessions podcast.
Let's go. Are we both out of town this week?
No,
I
think so.
Just me? Or you?
I think our trips will overlap for a few days. Yeah.
This week? Where are you going this week?
I'm going to Guatemala.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's right. That's coming up. That's in January. For some reason, I was thinking February.
I guess it depends. Oh wait, we have another. Yeah, we have another week.
Yeah. I'm out of town
not.
next week or this week.
I don't know. It depends on when this episode is gonna air. Because I don't know when this episode is gonna air. Anyways,
yeah,
you'll be gone. I'll be gone for a week. So we're recording double episodes to make sure there's some content for the folks out there. Yeah. Where are you going? Give us a little rundown.
Doing tasters in Houston, a qualifier, and then straight from Houston flying to Chicago for the opening of Solway Coffee. It's a client we've been consulting for close to a year now, and they're finally open up doors. Super exciting. So if you're in the Chicago area, I'll probably be around the cafe anywhere from the 20th to the 23rd. I fly out on the 24th. Or probably the 21st, 22nd, 23rd for sure. So if you want to stop by the cafe, come see me, come say hi in Chicago. Opening? It'll be open.
Cool.
I'll be there most likely. I mean, that's the plan. I already have my tickets, have my Airbnb, so I'll be there. But if you're in Chicago, give a shout because we can at least say hi. If not, hang. We'll see.
Yeah. Feel like it'll be other than a few shops, it'll probably be a really tasty shop.
It'll be a tasty one.
Yeah. So
it's going to be
fun. A nice addition to the Chicago.
And the design, the cafe layout, the space, everything is looking really good. So I'm super pumped on it. Nice.
Yeah. That's lovely. Well, yeah, I'll be going back to Guatemala, not for origin causes, but yeah, going to be out there doing some video work.
Nice.
I do that. Been doing that for the last 4 or 5 years or so. Yeah. Feels weird. Been there a handful of times. So
yeah. That's pretty dope.
Yeah. But alrighty, let's pour some batchy.
Oh wait, I still have some leftover batch I need to dump. Give me 1 minute.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. Well, we have another Ethiopia on batch today from a local roaster. We'll
Same grind size?
No, I want coarser.
Gotcha.
Just a few like micro steps.
Yeah. This batch is much warmer.
It's much warmer. Yeah,
which is dope.
Yeah.
So maybe it just needs a warm up batch.
Yeah, it could be.
I don't know. Could be.
Yeah. Interesting. But yeah, it's like noticeably warmer.
I mean, I like it.
Thoughts?
Are we gonna reveal who this roaster is or no?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Why?
I mean, I'll just be honest. I preferred ours.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually
quite a bit.
I wish we just ground coarser.
Yeah.
On our batch, that's why I went coarser this time because I was like, well, same ish coffee.
Yeah.
But maybe it'll taste better coarser, which I think it does. In terms of. It definitely tastes a little better extracted than the last one. Yeah. As for coffee wise, florals as well. Got a little bit of like a dark fruit berry action going on there. It's got
like a cacao aftertaste in my opinion. Like a dark chocolate aftertaste. It's okay. I'm not hyper hyped about this one.
But I actually think it's kind of close in the same direction as ours. Like it has that kind of like that lemony, maybe grapefruit-esque stuff going on, light berries. I don't think it's definitely not like an outstanding Ethiopian, but it's just a solid,
fine,
solid coffee. What's on the flavor notes there that they have?
Berries, floral, stone fruit.
Well, Well, wow.
Yeah.
Call me a Q grader. I'll be over here.
Yeah, cup taster there.
Yeah, let's
you know.
go. Let's go.
Nice. Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's spot on. It's just not like super insane. But that all being said, that is an Ethiopian washed from Woods Coffee Roastery, and there's solid coffee.
Yeah, they're solid.
That's what, I don't think it's something that I think people would expect from them. Yeah. But I mean, if you like are like in a pinch and need a coffee and you go by, like, I wouldn't be upset with that.
Yeah.
So
totally. Yeah. It's not. Again, it's just that mid-range coffee for me. It's not. I'm not super impressed, but I'm also not mad.
I need to throw this in a blind cupping. I didn't see you choose this.
You should.
Amongst all of the coffees.
You should do it. I'm always down for that.
I wish they'd submit to
You know, that'd be wild. I love that. That would be so wild.
And stump everybody and just
oh man,
shred.
Yeah. I don't know how many people got that, but yeah, that'd be
if you
wild.
got it, you got it.
If you got it, you got it.
But man,
I'm not gonna repeat it.
It cools like, I don't know, dude.
Cools like coffee.
I'm out of here. Sergi's doing this podcast episode by himself. I'm out of here.
Speaking of big coffee companies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. I was going to let you riff off of my little transition there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of big coffee companies, Woods is like a decent sized coffee company, which is kind of like what I would call like a baby La Colombe.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Like a baby. Yeah. Like La Colombe is like
massive.
Yeah. This is like a baby version of La Colombe. And La Colombe is like a staple in the East Coast. Probably, you know, outside of like the heavy hitters of like, you have Passenger in Pennsylvania, Say in New York, you know, those La Cabra, those like really heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I remember when I was in Philly, it was like a solid option.
Dang, I've never had
that you can find. Like they have like multiple, a handful of locations that are kind of somewhat easy to find. So, anyways, so La Colombe just got bought out by Chobani.
Yeah,
the yogurt alternative milk brand, which probably not to. There's probably a handful of people that this is not news. Yeah, but for me, it like took me by surprise and added an insane number. In my opinion, it's insane for the size that La Colombe is. Right, it was bought out for $900 million. Yeah,
almost 990 was it, or almost
900
$1 billion?
Almost $1 billion. That's
insane.
That's like, you guys, this is a coffee company.
Yeah,
that roasts coffee and has cafes. This is not like not like a tech company. Just it's literally
not a marketing
like
firm,
like a small chain. Yeah, and by small I mean it's nowhere probably near the chain of like Dutch Bros or Starbucks. I think those are bigger. Yeah, but man, 900 mil is insane.
Yeah. It's wild because that puts things in perspective when you think about just how much coffee has grown I'm not putting my words together right, but how much economic value is in coffee in the United States. Because remember when Blue Bottle sold, that was a big deal. Right. Blue Bottle sold to Nestle, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Right, and then Intelligentsia as well. Didn't Intelligentsia sell? So some of those big companies that sold, and that was also a pretty big acquisition to think that a coffee company has that much value on the market. But then again, it's not surprising because coffee in general has a massive global market. So there has to be money in it. And if someone builds a dynasty like Blue Bottle or La Colombe, that makes sense. But at the end of the day, it's $1 billion.
That's a ton of money.
That's a ton of money. And put that in, another different perspective is coffee companies are going out of business left and right as well.
Right.
So not everyone gets that big, massive sale.
Right.
That's tough. There's like two very big.
Yeah.
There's a very big spectrum. There's a very big scale.
Yeah. We'll just let everybody let that number sink in for everybody. $1 billion. That's literally that's an ungodly amount.
Yeah.
For a coffee company.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know. It's like good news. I think depends. Mm-hmm. And I know some people are. This can get like, I'm sure some people listening to this will be like, dude, no.
Yeah.
And then some people, a few, will be listening and be like, yeah. In the sense of, like, I think Blue Bottle got a bad rep for selling out to Nestle, especially a company like Nestle.
Yeah.
Even though, I believe, I just looked it up, Blue Bottle sold in 2017 for $500 million.
Whoa.
So that was 6 years ago.
Great deal.
For $500 million.
Yeah. And
yeah, it may be selling out, especially to a company like Nestle, but at the same time, man, to build a coffee company of that size and operation is a lot of freaking work.
Yeah.
That is like, you are crushing. And not only is it a lot of work, that takes skill. Like, I don't care who you are, if you can build a company the size of Blue Bottle and sell for 500 million or even 900 like La Colombe, that takes skill.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be freaking good at it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think as much as it may sound like selling out, even though, fun fact, like Blue Bottle is still roasting and selling COE coffees,
right?
Despite being sold out to Nestle. Their roasting might not fit your style, but they are selling COE coffees. I think La Intelligentsia, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me, they bring out some of the best baristas in the game.
Yeah. At least used to. Yeah.
Or used to.
I don't know if they still do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're still, I think, roasting also. They have a few COEs every once in a while throughout the year. Like, that's, even though it sounds like, I lost track where I was going, but where I was going with that is that, like, even though these big companies are selling out to these bigger monster brands, they're still serving really high-end coffees. But then at the end of the day, I can see why it would be luring to just, like, this is what you put your whole life in for.
Yeah.
It makes sense that you'd want to get a return for that. Like, you build something beautiful that adds value to the world. Yeah, you deserve to pocket a bill.
I mean, fair. No,
you probably
financial compensation is important.
For the record, you guys, the owner of La Colombe, I guarantee you, did not get anywhere near a bill.
Yeah,
he probably ended up with like $350 million after taxes and after all the.
Of course, I mean, the hard part is also putting that in the context of small mom and pop cafes going out, or I'm not going to mention the name. Some big importing companies filed Class 11 bankruptcy recently. Even folks that we've worked with before are struggling to keep their importing companies alive. So there's this big tension where you see a sale like that and you're like, oh, there's money in the industry. And then you hear about companies going out of business and bankruptcies and you're like, wait, is the industry like going downhill? Is it climbing? Like, what's the verdict?
Right.
And it's really hard to read both news because it puts you in a weird space where you're like in limbo, like, hey, will one day we have to file for bankruptcy? Will we make it? Or will we be some of the folks who sell, a multi-million-dollar company? But I think the big question is, with that, also can't forget to bring up La Marzocco sold 61% of their shares today to who was it? DeLonghi. Yeah.
Guys,
exactly.
DeLonghi is like the
what?
I'm sorry if you like DeLonghi, sure, to each their own. But it's like the most, like the most low key, jankiest, like I'm sorry. I just don't have anything good to say about them. I also don't have very much experience with them. So I'm like, hey, to each their own. Forget. Like, don't come after me. Yeah. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Even though I believe that La Marzocco will still be operated with the same people, the same infrastructure, all of that. It's just a money thing. So the question is, are these big sales actually good for the industry? Do they actually, what's the role of sales like that?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking everyone listening, you.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I think a few things come to mind. Not to, also, I want to backpedal a little bit. Also, a few years ago when Breville bought out Baratza.
Right.
And that was like an interesting acquisition because that was like right at kind of near the beginning of COVID. And they bought out Baratza, which kind of left people thinking like, man, is Baratza going to go to trash or not? Mm-hmm. I mean, a few years later, I personally still think Baratza is crushing it.
Yeah.
They may not be, the next flashiest grinder, the F64 niche or whatever, but they still make one hell of a grinder.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, their customer service is excellent. They still do stuff really, really well. They're just under now a parent company, but from my understanding, a lot of the same ownership and CEOs and stuff like that kind of remained. So where I think I'm going to take the beneficial side of this, where I think it's beneficial is that a bigger company like Breville has their own infrastructure, their own manufacturing connections, their own ways of doing things. Mm-hmm. But also, it seems like I would assume that they also have much more resources at hand than, say, somebody like Baratza, who is still like a good-sized company, but they're not probably as massive as Breville. Yeah. And so it's almost like if you were to have somebody who's more experienced than you, who's bigger than you, has more resources, access than you, come in, let you keep doing your stuff, but almost like put you under steroids so you can do things even better.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, I also think like in the scope of this acquisition with Breville and Baratza is that now, I mean, even on your Breville that you won, there's that little sticker that says, hey, this is a Baratza grinder in here.
Yeah. That gets me pumped. And so I'm excited about that.
Yeah. And to me, that's cool because not only does Baratza still crushing doing the grinders, Breville's still putting out cool, like home heavy machines. Yeah. But now when you put them together, which probably wasn't as possible or sustainable before, now that collab could happen. And now you ended up with an even better machine at not much higher of a cost.
Right.
So for the consumer, there's a lot of wins involved.
Yeah. I think a lot of the times the bad rep from these big sales comes to, they just want to make more money, so the product quality is going to go down. They're just going to try to scale, grow it, make more money, and quality go down. I mean, hearing you talk about it, I'm like, I really hope that happens to La Marzocco. Like, I hope just the influx of finances, maybe some moves, and they continue to crush and create even better product, maybe lead to some innovation. We've already talked about the new things they've done with Malconing. Hopefully stuff like that continues to go and we see companies like La Marzocco grow. That's the goal. Like, and if that's the case, if people are investing, if you're looking at it from more or less a perspective of, they just got an investment and they're going to like blow up, I'm totally for that. I think that's awesome. La Marzocco is one of my favorite espresso, or probably the favorite espresso machine I've ever worked behind. So I would want to just see that continual growth. That's the only thing that really worries me is, will the quality of the product, will that change? And
I'm not saying that it's always for the better.
Yeah.
I'm not, I know I mentioned a lot of that, but there's definitely been acquisitions that have happened in the past that they just get over their head. Yeah. It ends up hurting both companies even more. Like, that's definitely a possibility. Yeah. And just because I also just said DeLonghi is janky. I'm concerned for the Marzocco.
Yeah.
But so there's definitely an option for both.
Yeah.
We just saw the upside of that now with Breville,
Mm-hmm.
because I know at first people were uneasy about it, but now
Right.
a few years in, it's like, oh,
Sick.
turned
Yeah.
out great. But
Yeah.
it doesn't always
Yeah.
turn out great. So
Yeah. A lot of the times when companies make changes like that, I don't know why this example pops into my mind, but I remember when, Porsche dropped their first SUV, and it was almost like they were trying to chase like the SUV clout. And I was like, dude, why does Porsche is a sports car? Like, who wants a Porsche SUV? I mean, now I'm kind of fine with it. Like, I probably, snag a Cayenne or whatever at one point. But Mark is not. Mark loves Porsches, dude.
guys, I'm obsessed with
Yeah.
Porsches. That's me. When you see me driving a Porsche, I've sold out. I've retired. I'm out of here.
To Nestle.
Yeah. For $90,000, so I can go buy a 911.
No, it's I think a lot of the times when those big financial driven moves happen, that's where my thought is like, what are they chasing? Like, is this a good thing or a bad thing? And that at the end of the day is like my main concern. And then also being in coffee and seeing that like economically, like, that's not common to sell your company for $900 million. That's not a normal thing. But to even know that there's a possibility to grow a company to that is kind of inspiring. There is wealth and there is money in this industry from a good perspective. Like I'm not this diehard, quote unquote, capitalist that just wants to make a ton of money in coffee. Money's nuts.
I do.
No, just kidding. Just kidding. But money's fine. But at the end of the day, that's like, what I'm trying to say. At the end of the day, the main thing is not just to grow a company to sell, which you and I have talked about that all the time. We've gotten, I mean, not to like hype ourselves up, but we've gotten a few offers to buy before, and we said no because we are kind of in it because we enjoy doing this, and we really think that we can make an impact through roasting coffee, serving coffee, brewing coffee through that. And it's our community, it's our people kind of thing.
100%.
So it's like money is definitely not a major incentive, but it is inspiring to think that, there's like, we can make a living out of this.
Yeah, I think a lot of times you also hear these things in like the commodity markets, like Starbucks. Well, not entirely Starbucks. There's some probably specialty in Starbucks, but I mean more like you hear it in other like sides of the industry. And you don't often see specialty cafes, specialty roasters blow up insanely.
Yeah.
And then exit and sell. If I were to say like, hey, think of like the biggest, tastiest specialty coffee companies out there, there's probably like 2-3 names that come to mind.
Yeah.
That's it. Onyx is probably one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Most of them are
Literally,
not massive, are not big.
Yeah, they're not.
They're just like, they're still considered small businesses.
Yeah, so that's the cool aspect, is that I would love to see actually more specialty coffee companies grow to a good size and then sell. But yeah, I don't know. Would you sell?
Talking about Mirror?
Yeah.
I mean,
say this is 2038 and you just got, you're drinking your geisha best of Panama number 1 97.3 score, and somebody brings out a phone to you and is like, hey, somebody's calling on the home phone because you have one of those, and they're like, hey, we want to buy Mirror for a few mils.
Yeah.
Do you sell?
I probably wouldn't sell all of my shares. I still want a little bit of stake in the company, especially if it's successful, right? But I wouldn't mind selling from the perspective that I'm naturally a entrepreneur and visionary, so I'll go start another thing. It doesn't bother me because like I would, but I also wouldn't want to completely sell every single share. That's the tension. Like I want to still have a say in the company. I want to still have a role in the company, but I don't know if I just want to like just completely let everything go. That's the hard part.
I think the question of scaling or not, I think it's very different for everybody. Yeah. And I don't think the right answer is always to how can we get as big as we can and sell out for as much money as we can. I don't think that's the goal. Yeah. And I think we've talked about this many times on the podcast, is that the self-awareness aspect of like, some people are very happy running their hole in the wall cafe and having 2 or 3 cafes that's not at all what they want. Yeah. Some people don't even want to roast. Like they just want to be the multi-roaster that just brings in world-class coffees that they can serve and it's fine. Yeah. And so I think that's where it's like, that shouldn't be necessarily the goal for everybody. Yeah. And if you're okay with where you're at, doing what you're doing, there's no point of rushing anywhere, So, because at the end of the day, hopefully also it's, money does play a role, but hopefully that's not your deciding factor on literally everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that, because the impact that we want to make through Mirror, or even just through our operation, through how we source coffee, how we treat, like all of that, like you do that not because you own Mirror, but you do that because of who you are. Yeah. 100%. So the impact doesn't change. It's just like, what do you want to do? You want to do this through coffee? You want to do this through like wine? You want to do this? Well, what do you want to do this through? So that's the bigger question. So it's not necessarily like selling is like game over, like, or selling is like you've achieved it. It's like, well, if I sold part of Mirror, like, okay, what am I going to do with that money, and how am I going to continue creating impact? And maybe there's like new ideas coming into that. And then again, we're talking about hypothetical. So let's say, I don't know, I won barista championships and this company, blew up. Then my impact also has changed at that point. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'll always be known as the founder of Mirror, and that has an impact and that has a say, but that doesn't also mean that my only impact is because Mirror and Sergi are attached. 100%. So that's what it comes down to me. It's like, the financial aspect, I get it, but there's more to it.
There's definitely that figuring out your why behind running a business. Why do you even get up in the morning? Why do you deal with all the mess that comes with being a business owner, which is not easy. It's not for everyone, but why do you even do this? And I don't think it's also necessarily bad to just do it for the money, because at some point, like, all of us show up to work because we get a paycheck, and we need to feed ourselves. Of course, that shouldn't be the only driving factor, but that's not to ignore. I think the beautiful overlap of, hey, I get to make money, but also I do it with something that I really like, that I really enjoy, that gives life to me. It's it's a good place to be. So any final thoughts?
Final thoughts is, I don't know, you got me right there. I feel like that what I wrapped up with is really my final thought. It's like, cool. I don't necessarily, I'm not trying to tie either money or wealth to impact that I get to create and do in this world. Yeah. And then, like you said, money does help. It goes a long way.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. Thank you so much for listening to yet another episode of the Coffee Roaster Warm Sessions podcast. Would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments, whether that's on YouTube, Spotify, in the Instagram DMs, and the emails. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Other than that, as we always say, remember, reflect what's good.